What is going on, Hawks Nation? Welcome back to another episode of Hawks Fan TV. As always, I'm your host, AC. Hope you guys are having a good day out there so far. It is currently Wednesday, July 14th, 7:20 in the afternoon, or nighttime, I guess, at this point. And I gotta say, I've had a long day. Been up since 6 o'clock this morning. Had a client call. He's over that lives in the UK, so the only time they can meet was like 11 o'clock or something. I don't even know, but they're 5 hours ahead of us, so 7, 8. Yeah, 11 o'clock their time, 6 o'clock my time. So been up since 6 o'clock, and now is finally the first moment of the day where I've had some free time. And even though I'm exhausted, I love the Hawks. I love you guys, so I'm here back at it again with another episode. And today's show, I'm going to be answering the question on whether or not I believe Onyeka Okongwu is the future starting center for our Atlanta Hawks, okay? And you can see my boy Double O on the TV screen right there. Yes, because of this long day, I am enjoying a nice little beverage. Shout out to you, Yingling. This video is not sponsored by Yingling, but they should, so if you guys want to endorse me, my email is in the description below. Back to the video. Like I said, in today's show, going to be answering on whether or not I believe Onyeka Okongwu can be the starting center for this Hawks team in the future. The way I'm going to structure this video today is going to be broken down into 3 key parts. Okay, at the beginning, I'm going to talk about the good, right? The pros about what I like about Onyeka Okongwu, the potential that he has, and what he excels at. Then I'm going to go into, excuse me. Then I'm going to go into the bad, areas that he needs improvement on and where he lacks in. I'm then going to weigh the pros and cons, and then ultimately answer the question on whether or not I think he's the future starting center for our Atlanta Hawks. Now, before I get into the show here, I want to do a little background, give you guys a little introduction of who Onyeka Okongwu is, okay? As many of you know, he was the number 6 selection for us in the 2020 NBA draft. Hopefully he's the last lottery pick that we have for the foreseeable future. On draft night when we picked him, I was a little bit surprised because on a lot of these mock drafts, I didn't see the Hawks taking a center. We just got Clint Capella last year in that trade. And usually teams don't typically spend a lottery pick on a player that's going to play very limited minutes as a backup in their first year or two. So a bit of a head scratcher for me. However, one thing that I've learned these past few years is never doubt Travis Schlenk, okay? You always trust Travis Schlenk. And it was very clear that he wanted to take the best player available, and Onyeka Okongwu was by far the best player available, and I have zero regrets on us taking him with the number 6 pick. Now, the reason why he was drafted so high, in general, but also why the Hawks took him, was for one main reason, and that was his defensive ability, okay? Now, behind James Wiseman, who got selected, number 2 overall to the Golden State Warriors, a lot of scouts and analysts actually had Onyeka Okongwu as the second best big man in the entire draft class, okay? And the reason for that was because of his defensive ability, but more importantly, his defensive versatility, okay? That's going to be a key theme in today's show. You're going to hear me say a lot of that, right? Defensive versatility, and quite frankly, it's kind of fun to say as well, defensive versatility. So what do I mean by that? What I mean by defensive versatility is the fact that he can guard multiple positions, but not just multiple, he can guard them all. So 1 through 5, he can guard the point guard, shooting guard, athletic wings, as well as, of course, the power forwards and the centers of this league, okay? So it's very rare do you have a big man that can go out on the perimeter and stay in front of smaller shooting guards, point guards, things like that, okay? Because typically, big men can't do that, okay? And usually when NBA fans, a lot of casual fans that watch the game of basketball, when they think of a defensive center, they think of one kind of aspect of that, and that is literally just protecting the paint, right? Being a big body, clogging up the lane, blocking shots at the rim. And there's a lot of centers, I don't want to say a lot, there's a handful of centers that excel really well in that role. Clint Capella actually is an example of that. Great rim protector, Miles Turner, Joel Embiid, Rudy Gobert, players like that where they just use their sheer size and length to basically protect the paint, okay? However, players like Joel Embiid, Rudy Gobert, Clint Capella, as we saw in the postseason, they cannot guard perimeter players, especially in a perimeter-driven league. In today's modern NBA, it's very perimeter-focused, okay? A lot of pick and roll. You need big men that can switch on the pick and roll to stay in front of these smaller, quicker guards, and you have that in Onyeka Okongwu, okay? So the number one aspect of his game is his defensive versatility. The fact that he's able to guard 1 through 5 can do a lot of great things for a team's defense, and really is the deciding factor from a good defense to a great defense, okay? So the reason why he has this ability is, aside from his athleticism, he has the lateral quickness and the foot speed to stay in front of these guys. Also, not to mention that he's going against one of the best point guards in the NBA and a pick and roll maestro in Trae Young. So when you go up against that every single day, day in and day out in practice, it's going to only improve your game. So when you have a player like Trae that's lining against you every day in practice, it's going to make these other point guards and shooting guards look like a cakewalk, okay? So that helps. So like I said, that foot speed, lateral quickness, athleticism allows him to really stay in front of these point guard, shooting guards, and he's big enough to stay and quick enough to stay in front of these athletic, lengthier wing players. And then, of course, as we saw in the postseason, he is more than capable of defending the paint as well, banging down low with players like Joel Embiid, Giannis Antetokounmpo, Brook Lopez, players like that. And in some cases, actually not even some, nothing discreet about it, he was actually probably the best option on Joel Embiid and Giannis in multiple games. So yeah, so that is really the real key aspect of why we drafted him so high, is that defensive versatility. It's quite incredible. So let's actually dive into the game tape here and show you a little bit of what I mean, okay? So here's an example of Giannis Antetokounmpo getting the ball on the low block here. Well, not the low block, kind of in between the three-point line and low block. And Onyeka Okongwu is literally on an island, okay? God, I'm like using my fingers to point to the computer screen, and obviously you guys can't see my finger. So yeah, so here, Giannis Antetokounmpo, Onyeka Okongwu, he's on an island one-on-one. He has the strength and the quickness to stay in front of him. He forces Giannis to go to the baseline and ultimately denies the shot attempt. So therefore, he has to kick it out to Brent Forbes, kind of the top of the key, to force a contested three-point shot. He misses. Honestly, we should have gotten that possession if we just would have boxed down, rebounded. That would have been our ball. But again, they get a reset. Brent Forbes gets the rebound, passes it back to Giannis Antetokounmpo. Again, one-on-one, Onyeka stays in front of him. Giannis obviously has no bag. He was just expecting to use his quickness and strength to just bully Onyeka. Clearly, that's not the case. He stays in front of him, which allows Bogey to come and help and double team him, forces Giannis to get rid of the ball. And now it's Drew Holiday hoisting up a last-minute prayer here. So ultimately, what I'm getting at is Onyeka Okongwu on 2 occasions on the same possession literally prevented Giannis Antetokounmpo, okay, arguably a top 3 player in today's game, 2-time reigning MVP Giannis, yes, that Giannis, prevented him from scoring the basket, and that is exactly what you need. It's beautiful. Another play here. You have Giannis Antetokounmpo, same Giannis, same 2-time reigning MVP against Onyeka Okongwu one-on-one. He just thinks he's just going to bully him down low. Onyeka does a great job here. Notice the right hand. He swipes his hand to get Giannis to drop the ball, which ultimately, screws up everything. It flusters him. Now he feels like the double-triple team's coming now that the fact the ball's on the floor. And what does he do? He panics and hoists up a shot, and Onyeka just blocks it, okay? Easy peasy lemon squeezy. I gotta be honest, I haven't used that term since like middle school, but yes, it was quite easy for Onyeka. This is just picture perfect defense. Absolutely beautiful sight to see. And guys, this isn't some scrub that he's doing this against. This is against Giannis Antetokounmpo. Not many players are bigger, faster, stronger than Giannis, and Onyeka clearly is showing what he's capable of on the defensive end. Here's another play here. Chris Middleton gets the ball in transition on a fast break. He thinks he's going to go for an easy Euro step for a basket. What does Onyeka do? Stays disciplined, stays in front of him, jumps up with both hands and blocks his shot. That looks easy, okay? It looks easy because Onyeka makes it look easy, but I promise you, in real time, when you have a 6'10 power forward going straight at you full speed, that is not an easy play. And what does he do? He blocks it with both hands. Last play I want to get into here. Bobby Portis, this is another 6'10", 6'11 power forward center, okay? This is not a small guy. Going against a 6'8 player in Onyeka Okongwu. He thinks he's going to go for an easy floater. Onyeka times it perfectly and just blocks it. Easy. Easy, easy. I mean, this is beautiful defense. And then, just for the icing on the cake, DeAndre hits a buzzer beater 3-point half-court shot. So you love it. So again, those are just some easy examples that I was able to find on the World Wide Web, and to highlight some of Onyeka's defensive ability, okay? Now, I was trying to find more highlights of him actually switching on the perimeter and just clamping up point guards and shooting guards, but I guess people on YouTube don't find that as exciting as I do. So unfortunately, I was not able to find those types of highlights. But if you saw the Hawks in the regular season and in the postseason, you saw this on full display from my boy Big O. Which, by the way, can we start getting his new nickname trending on Twitter? Rajon Rondo is no longer on this Hawks team, so number 7 should be available. I want Onyeka Okongwu to change his number to number 7 so we can start referring to him as 007, okay? That's a badass nickname, top 5 nicknames in the NBA in my opinion, so let's get that trending. And also, full disclaimer, I did not make that up. I saw it somewhere on Twitter or Reddit or Facebook, I don't remember, and I thought it was awesome. So whoever's out there that made up that nickname, if you're watching this, then shout out to you. So as you guys saw from the highlights just now, Onyeka Okongwu has the potential to become an elite defender, okay? Not just protecting the paint, blocking shots in the post, but perimeter defense, okay? A great example of this is Draymond Green, who's actually even more of an undersized power forward / center that role he plays. And in a lot of lineups during those championship years from Golden State, he actually played a lot of the 5, okay? And he's even smaller than Onyeka Okongwu. So if Draymond Green's able to do it, I have full faith that Onyeka can. Now, I know what you're going to say. Draymond Green is a Hall of Fame level player, elite defender, multiple Defensive Player of the Year awards. I get that, okay? But Onyeka Okongwu has that type of potential, okay? He doesn't have the playmaking as Draymond Green. He's not going to get you 6, 7, 8 assists a night, but he has the defensive capability and versatility to guard all 5 positions and just wreak havoc on the defensive floor. And that is what I love about him, and that's what makes him such a high ceiling type player. Now, the bad, okay? There are some areas of improvement that Onyeka can do, okay? Number 1, I think the glaring issue that you guys saw is the perimeter offense, okay? As great as he is on the perimeter defensive side, he has 0 perimeter game, okay? He can't shoot. He actually took 0 shot attempts from the 3-point line, and he rarely shoots a jump shot unless it's like a late possession, clock winding down, but even then he doesn't even shoot it. All of his points come in that kind of 5 to 6 feet basket range. He takes that hook shot, puts it up. He has great touch around the rim, though. That's actually another thing that I forgot to mention from a pro standpoint. Even though he doesn't shoot that much, and even though the offense isn't really primarily run through him, obviously, he has great touch around the rim. He can finish with both hands, and he's also athletic and strong enough to catch those alley-oops and just yam on people, as we saw in the playoffs. So that's also another plus side of him. And if you look at some of his college tape, he actually has some post moves. He has a good little up and under move, a good little rip through move that he does. His footwork is fairly decent. So I think he can actually develop a pretty solid post game as well, because his touch and feel around the rim is very efficient. 60+% in college and in the NBA. So that's another plus side. As I was continuing with the bad, so yeah, he has no perimeter game, can't shoot whatsoever. However, it can develop, in my opinion. He's also a very not so good free throw shooter. Career average only has 1 season, so very small sample size, but he's a 63% free throw shooter in his rookie year, okay? Very not good. Let's just put it that way, if I'm being generous. So, however, when he shoots the free throws, and I'm sure you guys have noticed this as well, his mechanics and form actually look really good, okay? Like, every time he shoots it, he's got good form, elbows tucked in, shoulders squared up. It looks like it's going to go in, but it just doesn't go in as much as I'd like it to, but the mechanics are all there, and I think he can develop into a pretty decent free throw shooter and develop a perimeter game. A comparison that I want to make is John Collins, right? John Collins, yes, he was a pretty solid free throw shooter in college, had a decent mid-range, but he never shot threes. He only took a 1-3 in college in 3 years at Wake Forest, okay? So someone like that, a player like John Collins, who only took 1-3 his entire college career, then becomes a 40% three-point shooter in the NBA. I think that's possible with someone like Onyeka Okongwu because he has the mechanics and he has good form. He just needs more practice to develop that jump shot, which I think he can. So no perimeter game, terrible free throw shooter, and quite frankly, let's not ignore the elephant in the room. At the end of the day, Onyeka Okongwu is only 6'8", okay? Now, he's listed as 6'9", 245, but if anyone's seen him in the NBA, like standing against other real players, and you can even use John Collins. I saw him standing next to John Collins, and he looks slightly shorter than JC, who's a legitimate 6'9" type of player. So I use that, and I see a 6'8.5", like 230, okay? He doesn't look as bulky, as meaty as some of these other big players in the NBA. So I don't think he is going to, I don't think he's 6'9", 245, unless I physically see him way up on a scale in front of my eyes and he's measured right in front of my own two eyes. Then and only then will I believe he's actually 6'9", 245. But until then, I'm going to go with my gut, 6'8", 6'8.5", 230-ish, okay? Now, being that small as a full-time starting center does have its limitations, okay, as you guys know, because at the end of the day, you know, being a 7-foot center and just being bigger and taller is obviously going to help you get more rebounds. So he lacks a little bit on the rebounding side, although he showed some great flashes of getting offensive rebounds, getting put-back dunks, boxing out. I think he can improve, okay? And that's an area that I really, really, really want him to emphasize at the next level, because if all he is an elite defender, an elite rebounder, he will have a great career with us, okay? I don't really care about his scoring ability. I just need him to be lockdown defense and get us like 10, 11 rebounds a game consistently every single night. Now, yes, being 6'8" has its limitations, but don't get too scared, Hawks fans, okay? One of the best rebounders of all time was someone like Dennis Rodman, okay, who in my opinion is the greatest rebounder of all time, and he was only like 6'7". He was a small forward, for goodness sake. So Dennis Rodman had a really great quote in the ESPN 30 for 30 during the MJ's Last Dance special on ESPN. He basically said that, you know, during practice, during shoot-around, he would watch players like Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen, Steve Kerr, players like that shoot, and he would study the ball and how it would land once it hit the rim, okay? And by studying the trajectory of the ball, the movements, things like that, he got a feel and kind of an instinct of where a ball would land once a particular player shot it. So he would then position himself as to where he thought the ball was going to go before the ball even got there. And that's just the feel, the instinct, the intangibles that made him such a great rebounder, but also the fact that he just took pride in rebounding. And that's what I need Onyeka Okongwu to do. He had a great quote coming out of the draft saying that, like, he took pride in playing defense. He wants to be known as an all-time great defender, and that's what he really, hones his craft on, is defense. And I want him to have that same mindset when it comes to rebounding as well, because if he just becomes elite at those two things, it's going to be very good for us. So a player like Dennis Rodman, who's shorter than Onyeka Okongwu, if he's able to get 16, 17, 18 rebounds a game, like he literally averaged, there was one point, I think in his peak, he averaged like 18.8 rebounds in a season, okay? Absurd numbers, because he just had a relentless motor and just a willingness to just go and get the ball like a dog. And that's what I need Big O to do, and I think he can get there for sure. Additionally, being 6'8", 230, you're going to have every once in a while come across players like Joel Embiid, Nikola Jokic, who else is out there? Even someone like Jonas Valanciunas, players like those who are legit 7-footers that can just body you. Obviously, in those cases, he's going to struggle a little bit, but I just need him to add more girth and weight, okay? I'm not so worried about the height. I'm so more worried about the muscle, okay? 6'8", yes, it's not ideal, but it can work. But if he just adds 10 to 15 pounds more of muscle, I think it's going to do wonders for him and us. So when it comes to Onyeka Okongwu, definitely need that that extra added weight, and I think it's certainly attainable, right? So it's a lot easier said than done, but when you have a world-class training staff, a world-class nutritional staff telling you what to eat, training your body, gaining 10 to 15 pounds of muscle in 1 to 2 years is very, very doable, and I think he has the work ethic to get there. So once he adds that and he becomes a legit 245, adds more girth, this is going to help him tremendously against those bigger body centers, power forwards, things like that. But with all that being said, even as a rookie, as a 20-year-old kid, okay, 20-year-old kid, this man was holding his own against the likes of Joel Embiid, Giannis Antetokounmpo, Brook Lopez, who, yeah, he's not as good as those guys, but he's still legit, like 7'1", 7'2" foot center. That's big and strong. So we saw what he did in the postseason. Imagine now if he just adds more muscle, weight, mass to that frame. It's going to be good. A great example I want to make, and I know I'm making comparisons to like all-time greats here, but Ben Wallace. Ben Wallace was only 6'8". He was one of the greatest defenders of all time. My opinion, the greatest rim protector of all time. Multiple Defensive Player of the Year awards. And honestly, he was probably the best answer to guarding someone like a Shaquille O'Neal, okay? Shaq in his prime, like Ben Wallace was the best answer for that out of any player. So Ben Wallace was only 6'8", okay? And in a lot of these websites, they have him listed as like 245, 250. So that's really not that much more than Onyeka Okongwu. But he just was strong. Like, that's what I need Onyeka Okongwu to do. Obviously, he's not going to be as ripped as Ben Wallace. Maybe, I don't know. I doubt it. But height is not going to be the end-all be-all for a center, right? To be an effective center, you don't have to be 6'11", 7 feet. You can get away with being a 6'8", 6'9", undersized center who's an elite defender, elite rebounder, strong, physical, who's not afraid. And that's what I think Onyeka Okongwu can do for us. So that's the good, that's the bad. Ultimately, I think the good outweighs the bad, because the biggest downside of Onyeka Okongwu in his overall game is that lack of perimeter offense, having no jump shot, no three-point shot. But when you have a generational point guard like Trae Young, and you have other really elite role players like Kevin Huerter, John Collins, DeAndre Hunter, Cam Reddish, those types of players who their ceiling is still untapped potential. Like, these guys can become future all-stars. You're not going to have to rely on someone like Onyeka Okongwu taking a bunch of jump shots, okay? He just needs to play elite defense, elite rebounding, and bang down low, and that's all he needs to become a very successful center in this team. And I think he can be a really, really productive, great center for us. So to answer the $1 million question, can he become the future starting center for the Atlanta Hawks? And my answer is positively, undoubtedly, 100% yes. He absolutely can be the starting center. And I think his defensive versatility is going to be the main deciding factor for that. And when you have someone like Onyeka Okongwu and then you pair him up with DeAndre Hunter and Cam Reddish, who are already elite perimeter defenders who can guard 1 through 4, then you have a center that can guard 1 through 5. I mean, that poses a lot of problems for opposing offenses, okay? So I'm very excited. Like, my dream lineup would be like Trae Young, Cam Reddish, DeAndre Hunter, John Collins, and Onyeka Okongwu. Or you can even do like Trae Young, Kevin Huerter, Cam Reddish, DeAndre Hunter, Big O. So a combination of that is going to do wonders for our team. And I think the new prototype archetype of like elite centers is going to be players like Onyeka Okongwu, okay? Very rarely do we see those traditional big centers like Hakeem Olajuwon, Shaquille O'Neal, even Dwight Howard in his prime that's just going to, you can catch the ball down low on the block and just body people and back them down and just dominate, okay? Yes, you still have Joel Embiid, Nikola Jokic, players like that, but those are very few in between. And in today's NBA, it's very perimeter focused. Therefore, the ability for him to switch off pick and rolls, help guard players like point guard, shooting guard, small forwards, and the ability to help on the weak side defense and get those blocks is going to be more important than just playing one-on-one post defense against someone like Joel Embiid. So that's my 2 cents. So yes, he can absolutely guard or become the future full-time starting center. And yeah, that's just one man's opinion. I'm very curious to hear your guys' thoughts. Please leave in the comments below if you believe Onyeka has the potential to become the full-time starting center for us. If you like content like this and you love the Hawks as much as I do, please hit that big red subscribe button down below. It would mean the world to me. Also, give this video a thumbs up as it helps the channel out tremendously. But yeah, if you like Hawks as much as I do, tune in every single day, every single week. I will be posting content just like this. Obviously, it is the off season, so things are a little bit slower. But I will be pushing out content like this, talking about draft picks, off-season moves, free agent targets, things like that, all the way up until October. And then, of course, we're back at it for the new season, and I will be coming out with videos every single game, pre-game, post-game analysis, giving my previews, doing live game, post-game caller reactions. So if you want to be a part of the show, you want to call in and give me your thoughts, or if you're even man enough or woman enough to debate me on a particular stance on a player or the team, I'm all ears. You are welcome anytime. So leave a comment. Let me know your thoughts about Big O. And thank you for watching. Go Hawks. And I love you guys.